77 people have been executed in Georgia. This is part 1 of the series. John Eldon Smith, December 15, 1983, electrocution. Smith and his wife faced charges on 2 counts each for the murders of Joseph Ronald Atkins and his newlywed wife Juanita Knight Atkins. Smith and his wife were tried separately, and in each case the jury found them guilty, resulting in death sentences on both counts. The victims, Joseph Ronald Atkins and Juanita Knight Atkins, who had been married only 20 days, were murdered on August 31, 1974, in a secluded part of a new housing development located in Bibb County, Georgia. Both were shot at close range with a shotgun. Evidence presented by the state indicated that Joseph Atkins' former spouse, Rebecca Atkins Smith Marchetti, along with her husband, John Eldon Smith, also known by the aliases Anthony Saldo Marchetti and Tony Marchetti, and an accomplice, John Marie, conspired to murder Joseph Atkins. Their motive was to gain access to the proceeds from Atkins' life insurance policies and other benefits, which were designated for Mrs. Marchetti and her 3 daughters from her previous marriage to Atkins. At the time of the planning, the conspirators resided in North Miami Beach, Florida. According to the testimony of the accomplice John Marie, he was promised $1,000 for his involvement in the plot. He stated that he and Tony Marchetti, Smith, traveled to Macon, Georgia, where they contacted Joseph Atkins and lured him to the crime scene under the pretense of installing a TV antenna. When Joseph and Juanita arrived at the arranged location, Tony Marchetti shot and killed both of them with a shotgun. Following the killings, Marie and Smith returned to their residence in North Miami Beach, Florida. John Eldon Smith was put to death in the electric chair at the Georgia Diagnostic and Classification State Prison in Jackson, Georgia. This execution marked him as the first individual to be executed in the state since Bernard Dye was electrocuted on October 16, 1964. He told guards as they were strapping him into the electric chair, "Hey, there ain't no point in putting it so tight." His last words were, "Well, the Lord is going to get another one." Smith made no special requests for a last meal before his execution. Authorities stated that he was served a routine breakfast of bacon and eggs. John Marie was released on parole after completing 13 years of his prison term. In 2010, Rebecca Marchetti, then 71 years old, was granted parole after serving 36 years of her sentence. She subsequently changed her last name to LaRusso to align with her new common-law husband. She passed away at the age of 81 in September 2020. Ivan Ray Stanley, July 12, 1984, electrocution. Stanley, together with an accomplice, kidnapped Clifford Floyd, a 46-year-old insurance agent, after deceiving him into entering the accomplice's apartment. Floyd was then forcibly taken into a nearby forest, where he was struck repeatedly with a hammer and bound to a tree. Following the assault, he was shot and buried alive in a shallow grave. Floyd ultimately died from a combination of blood loss and asphyxiation. During the attack, the perpetrator stole a total of $234 from him. Stanley had no last words and declined the opportunity to make a final statement before his execution. His last meal was squash, peanut butter cookies, and ice cream.
This is a recording of the execution of Ivan Ray Stanley, EF 103603, July the 12th, 1984.
Colonel Lowe, Mickey?
Yes.
The witnesses are now entering the witness room.
Okay.
The state witnesses have entered the witness room and have seated themselves on the front row. At this time, the news media witnesses are entering. All witnesses have arrived and have seated.
Let's proceed. We can proceed if you're ready.
Colonel Lowe, Mickey, the warden has entered the execution chamber at this time, approaching the microphone, and is in the process of briefing all witnesses to remain quiet and to avoid any unnecessary movement. He is also advising them that medical assistance is available if needed. The warden at this time is in the process of confirming all witnesses. All witnesses have been confirmed. The warden is in the process of advising all witnesses that we will now proceed with the court-ordered execution of Ivan Stanley. Mickey, Colonel Lowe?
Yes.
We're still waiting for the execution team members to bring him into the execution chamber.
All right, we'll just stand by and keep a line up.
Colonel Lowe, Mickey? The execution team is now in the process of escorting the condemned into the execution chamber. He is walking unassisted, walked straight to the chair and has seated himself in it. One of the execution team members is now in the process of securing the back strap. The other members are in the process of securing the arm straps and leg straps. The back strap is secure at this time. Both arm straps are secure at this time. They're still in the process of securing the leg straps. At this time, the condemned has been secured in the chair. He is not moving. He's just sitting there very passively staring out at the witnesses. The superintendent has afforded the condemned an opportunity to make a last statement. He has declined to make a last statement.
Are you ready to tell him?
He has afforded the opportunity for prayer. He declined this also. The warden is now in the process of reading the essential court order to the witnesses and to the condemned.
Court having present the defendant out of the ring stand on the 15th day of January 1977 in accordance with the laws of Georgia.
The condemned is still sitting there very passively, no movement, staring out into the witnesses.
On the 12th day of July.
The superintendent is still in the process of reading the court order to the condemned.
Executed by the Department of Defense Railroad Pay. This is the 2nd day of July 1984.
At this time, the superintendent has completed reading the essential court order. The execution team members are now in the execution chamber with the headset and the leg band. One member is in the process of securing the leg band to the fleshy part of the inmate's right leg. Two members of the execution team is in the process of securing the headset to the condemned. The condemned has offered no resistance throughout. He's just sitting there very passively, not moving. The leg band has been secured to the condemned's right leg, and also the headset has been secured to his head. Perspiration is now being wiped from the forehead of the condemned, and he is secure and ready for execution with the exception of the hood being placed over his head and the wires being attached to the leg band and to the headset. The electrician now has entered the execution chamber and is in the process of securing the wire to the headset.
They're moving very well. It's a good time to do it right now. Marable?
Yes, sir.
Stand still. Mickey, put William Hill on.
Hello?
William? Okay, Attorney General's here.
Okay.
Hill, this is Mike.
Yeah.
Have you got any reason why the execution shouldn't be carried out?
No, I don't.
Thank you.
All right. Colonel Lowe,
Yes.
Mickey, the wires have been attached and secured to the headset and to the leg band. The perspiration has been wiped again from the condemned's forehead, and the hood is being placed on at this time. The face hood has been secured. All of the warden and all execution team members have departed the execution chamber. Stand by for the warden's last telephone check.
Ralph, this is Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
There are no stays. You can proceed to carry out the official order of the court.
Very well. On my count of 3, press your button. 1, 2, 3. Colonel Lowe,
Yes.
Mickey, the execution is now in progress. When it first surge entered his body, he stiffened, and I heard a pop as if one of the straps broke, but I can't tell from this vantage point. He is still at this time sitting there with clenched fists with no other movement. He's slowly relaxing at this time. The first phase of the execution is completed. We are now into the second phase. The second phase is completed at this time. We are now into the third and final stage. From my vantage point, it seems that the inmate has relaxed somewhat. His fists are still clenched, but there's no movement from the condemned. There's still no movement from the individual. He's still just sitting there. is the third phase completed. We're still into the third phase. Third phase and the execution is completed. We're now into the 5 minutes elapsed time. It appeared when the execution was completed and the power was off, he relaxed somewhat more than he was. It was pretty visible that he relaxed even more than what it seemed before.
Any reaction from the witnesses?
They're sitting very still, just observing. No, I see one or two of the media writing notes, taking notes, but other than that, they're just sitting staring into the execution chamber. Colonel Lowe, Mickey, we have now completed 2 minutes of the 5 minutes lapse time. There's still very little movement from any of the witnesses. No one even taking notes at this time. They're just sitting there staring into the execution chamber. All about ready to go in? Okay, we got a few more seconds. Colonel Lowe, Mickey, we have now completed 5 minutes lapse time. Stand by for the doctors are now preparing to enter the execution chambers to check for life signs. The first physician has completed his examination. The second is now in the process of making his check. The second doctor has now completed his examination. The third and final doctor is in the process of making his check. The examination is completed. Stand by for the superintendent's time of death and confirmation of death.
Approximately 12:24, July 12, 1984. Full execution of Highland Way Standard was carried
The
out.
superintendent has advised all witnesses that death did occur at 12:24, this date. He has instructed all witnesses to depart the witness room and to be transported back to the front of the institution. Curtains are drawn at this time. Colonel Lowe, Mickey? Yes, that completes it.
Marable, see if you can find what that snap pop that you were talking about a while ago.
I think it was just the electricity arc. I don't think any strap broke anything. He just jerked real hard and caused the electricity to arc.
Okay.
The electrician is now in the process of taking the wire from the headset. They have removed the hood, the face hood, and are in the process now of taking or removing the headset. The headset has been removed. The electrician is now in the process of removing the electrical wire from the leg band. The electrical wire has been removed from the condemned's right leg. He is being removed from the electric chair at this time and being placed on the stretcher. He is being removed from the execution chamber at this time, and the execution team members are taking him to the autopsy room. That's all I can see, Colonel Lowe.
Is the warden available?
Just a minute. Caleb?
You and your staff did an excellent job. We appreciate it very much.
Okay, we had a little bit of a scare. I don't know if they related it to you or not, at the popping sound.
Yeah.
We were thinking that what happened because he sat there for that 3 minutes, that the water and the sponge on his leg ran out.
Right.
Right there by his foot. And we're thinking that that's just it was like a little bolt of lightning.
Did you see anything?
No, they said Colonel Hardison and other people in the witness room said they didn't see anything like that. Now, I still feel good about it, really.
It ran too smooth, Ralph, but don't screw it up next time.
Okay.
Mike Bowers wants to say something now.
Okay.
Ralph, I second what Dave said. Very smooth job.
Okay. We appreciate it. Just get us another one.
Marable?
Here you go. Just a second, Colonel.
Colonel Lowe?
Marable?
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you.
You're quite welcome, sir, anytime.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
Alpha Otis O'Daniel Stevens, December 12, 1984, electrocution. After escaping from the Houston County Jail in Georgia, Stevens, along with an alleged accomplice, went to the residence of Charles Asbel in Twiggs County on August 21, 1974. Charles Asbel was not home at the time, and Stevens forced his way into the house. Inside, he discovered a Magnum pistol, which he loaded, along with several other firearms, all of which he placed into a 1972 Dodge vehicle. While the burglary was underway, Roy Asbel, Charles Asbel's father, arrived in his Ford Ranchero. According to Stevens' later statement to authorities, Asbel confronted him, saying, "What are you doing in my house?" Noticing rifles in Stevens' car, Asbel drew his gun. Stevens ran toward Asbel's vehicle, forcibly pulled him out, and struck him multiple times in the face, despite Asbel's pleas for the beating to stop. Stevens stood 6 feet 2 inches tall, while Asbel, who had been disabled in a prior tractor accident, was only 5 feet 6 inches tall. Asbel, who typically carried several $100s, offered Stevens money in exchange for his life. Stevens accepted the money but continued to kick Asbel. He then struck Asbel with the pistol, sending him back into the ranchero, and instructed his alleged accomplice to kill him if he moved. The pair drove approximately 3 miles to a pasture where Asbel attempted to escape on foot, hobbling toward an abandoned building being used as a barn. Stevens pursued him with the Magnum, extorted more money from him, then placed the pistol against Asbel's ear and fired twice. Both bullets passed through Asbel's skull, exiting at the right temple, resulting in his death. An autopsy revealed that Asbel had suffered a broken jaw and multiple skull fractures. Physical evidence traced Stevens to the crime scene. Before trial, Stevens fully confessed to this murder as well as to a series of other serious offenses committed following his escape and prior to the Asbel killing. He presented no defense during the trial. However, during the sentencing hearing, he claimed that his alleged accomplice had fired the fatal shots. Alpha Otis O'Daniel Stevens made no last statement before his execution. His last meal was fried shrimp, French fries, tossed salad, cola, and pecan pie.
Press the button. 1, 2, 3.
The execution now has begun. There was one small jerk from the condemned at the time the execution was initiated. He is sitting very still now, and we are also now into the second phase of the execution. We're now into the third phase of the execution. No movement from the condemned, no activity or no movement from the witnesses. He appears to be relaxing a little bit more now. There's 60 seconds remaining on the third phase of the execution. There's a slight movement from the condemned's head. He seems to be moving his head from side to side slightly.
I show the time is 12:19.
Commissioner, he is still moving his head, and he seems to have slumped down in a relaxing type position in the chair. But his head is moving from side to side slightly. Commissioner, Mr. Long, the execution is completed at this time. The electrical panel box is secured and locked. I do not detect any movement from the condemned at this time. He seems to have stopped moving his head and also his arms.
I show the time is 12:20.
You are in the lapse time countdown, is that correct?
Yes, sir. We're into the first minute of the lapse time now. No movement from any of the witnesses, and at this time, no movement from the condemned. We have now completed 1 minute of lapse time, 4 minutes remaining. 2 minutes of lapse time completed at this time, 3 minutes remaining. Still, very little movement from any of the witnesses, and I detect no movement from the condemned at this time.
I show the time is 12:22.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes, sir.
There is some slight movement. He's still moving his head slightly. The only thing we can do is continue until the physicians can check him after the lapse time has expired.
Don't vary from your checklist.
Okay. Okay, we have completed 3 minutes of lapse time, 2 minutes remaining. Commissioner, Mr. Long?
Yes.
He is still moving his head slightly. Kind of a bobbing up and down movement. Commissioner?
Yes.
Mr. Long, we have completed 4 minutes of lapse time. We have 1 minute remaining. And from my vantage point, I do detect, or it seems to be, that he is breathing. Commissioner? Commissioner, Mr. Long, we have completed the 5 minutes lapse time. Stand by for the physician's check.
Commissioner,
Yes.
it appears, and the doctors agree with me, that he's still breathing. You want us to check him and then go through it again, or just go ahead and go through it again?
Check him and then go through him again. Definitely check him. Don't vary from the checklist.
All right.
Have them check him.
Okay. So I can't think. Do we announce that we're going to do it again?
It doesn't say so.
Okay.
It remains on.
Okay.
Time at 12:26 and 30 seconds.
Commissioner,
Yes.
doctors verify that he is still alive.
Repeat the execution.
Very well. Ready to go again? Ready.
Better check all the connections. Well,
Yes, sir.
did you tell the witnesses that you were repeating?
No, I didn't.
I think you should tell them.
Okay. You want me to just advise them that
Just advise
get
them.
in the process and not go into any detail?
That's right.
Okay.
Physicians have vital signs.
Wait just a minute.
Tell the physicians have vital signs.
Commissioner,
Final.
the superintendent is entering the execution chamber and approaching the mic at this time to advise the witnesses that we will proceed again with the execution.
Willis, if you can, tell him there were some vital signs remaining, so the execution will repeat. You can get that message to him.
Oh, it's too late now. He's already briefed him and he's on the way back in, sir.
Fine. All right.
I show the time is 12:28.
Okay, Commissioner, we'll proceed at this time.
See.
On my count of 3, you press your button. 1, 2, 3.
Commissioner, Mr. Long, the execution is initiated again at this time. The condemned made one big jerk, and now he is relaxing in the chair. I do not detect any other movement from the condemned at this time. We have completed the first and second phase of the execution. We are now into the third phase. I do detect his head moving from side to side again. We're still into the third phase of the execution. Commissioner, Mr. Long?
Yes.
He is still at this time moving his head from side to side and appears to be breathing. We'll continue just like we did previously.
You'll have to check that electrically.
We have 15 seconds remaining on the third phase of the execution. Commissioner, Mr. Long, the third phase of the execution is completed. The equipment is switched off, secured at this time. We're now into the 5 minutes lapse time.
What is the status on condemned?
Sir, he appears to be breathing to me.
You're going to have them check those sponges and check their connections. There's something they don't have connected right, Willis, or that.
Yes, sir. You want us to go ahead and complete this whole thing and then...
Yeah, complete your phase, and then you're going to have to make your check.
Okay, sir. Commissioner, Mr. Long, we have completed 1 minute of lapse time. We have 4 minutes remaining. I might also advise at this time that I do not detect any movement from him at this time. He appears to have stopped moving. Still no movement from any of the witnesses. They were just sitting very still, observing the condemned in the chair.
Show the time at 12:32.
We have now completed 2 minutes of phase time, lapse time. We have 3 minutes remaining. Might also add that I do not detect any movement from the condemned. Commissioner, Mr. Long, we have now completed 3 minutes lapse time. We have 2 minutes remaining. There is still no movement from the condemned. Commissioner, Mr. Long, we have completed 4 minutes of lapse time. We have 1 minute remaining. Still no detectable movement from the condemned. He does seem to have stopped moving entirely. Commissioner, Mr. Long, we have completed our 5 minutes lapse time. Stand by for the physician's check. At this time, the superintendent and the two physicians are entering the execution chambers for their check. The first doctor is now in the process of making his check for vital signs.
Show the time at 12:36. I show the time is 12:37.
The second doctor is still in the process of conducting his check for vital signs. The superintendent is at this time, Commissioner, Mr. Long, is in the process of briefing the witnesses that at 12:37 hours, this date, the condemned was pronounced dead. He has instructed all witnesses to depart the witness room. Back to the front of the institution. At this time, the curtains are drawn.
Roosevelt Green Jr., January 9, 1985, electrocution. During a convenience store robbery, Green abducted the 18-year-old clerk Teresa Allen, took $466 from the cash register, and fled the scene with both the stolen money and Allen in her own vehicle. He subsequently essayed Allen, fatally shot her, and left her body on a remote dirt road.
I didn't kill her. The evidence shows that I was not there when the girl was killed. The evidence shows that I didn't know that the girl was killed. So, therefore, there wasn't any intent or no action on my part. Therefore, I'm not guilty of murder.
His last words were, "I would like to say tonight that God is with me, and I hope that God is with all of you tonight. What you people is about to witness is a grave injustice. I am about to die for a murder that I did not commit, that someone else committed. I have nothing against anyone. I love the Lord, and I hope you love him too. I hope he takes me into his kingdom, and goodbye, Mother." He did not request a special last meal and declined to eat the regular prison dinner of turkey pot pie. Van Roosevelt Solomon, February 20, 1985, electrocution. Brandon Astor Jones and Van Roosevelt Solomon were apprehended at a store in Cobb County by a police officer who had escorted a stranded driver there to use a payphone at approximately 1:45 a.m. on June 17, 1979. The officer, aware that the store typically closed at midnight, became suspicious upon noticing a vehicle parked outside with its driver's door open and the store lights still illuminated. Inside the store, the officer observed Jones. Upon hearing 4 gunshots, he entered, drawing his weapon for safety. He discovered Jones and Solomon near the entrance to a storeroom and immediately took them into custody. Within that storeroom, the body of the victim, Roger Dennis Tackett, was found. Subsequent tests revealed that both men had either recently discharged the firearm or had handled one that had been recently fired. Additionally, the store's cash drawer had been removed and was later recovered, wrapped in a plastic bag. Both Jones and Solomon were sentenced to death. After being strapped into the electric chair, Solomon said, "I would like to give my blessings to all the people who tried to save my life." A former Baptist minister, he then prayed quietly with the prison chaplain. Solomon's final meal consisted of fruit and chocolate ice cream. John Young, March 20, 1985, electrocution. On the evening of December 7, 1974, 6 elderly individuals were brutally attacked in their homes within the city of Macon, Bibb County, Georgia. Each suffered severe beatings, being kicked and stomped during the assault. All 6 victims resided in the same neighborhood. 3 of them were able to provide a description of the attacker, while the other 3, Coleman Bryce, Gladys Bryce, and Katie Davis, succumbed to the injuries inflicted during the attacks. John Young, who was just 17 years old, was linked to these crimes through stolen watches and jewelry recovered in connection with the incidents, a fingerprint, and admissions he made to friends confessing his involvement. When asked if he was the person who had assaulted the victims, he replied, "Yeah, man, and I'm going to get me some more." When questioned about the victim's race, he answered, "White." When asked why he targeted them, Young responded, "I don't know. The only thing that I'm sorry about is that they caught me before I got through." Prior to trial, Young entered a special plea of insanity. On June 30, 1975, a jury returned a verdict rejecting this plea. The court subsequently granted a retrial on the matter, and on October 21, 1975, a second jury again ruled against the insanity plea. In his final statement, Young protested the treatment of Black Americans. In a barely audible voice, he told the 12 execution witnesses, "Being born black in America was against me. You all cry out that America was built on Christianity. I say it was built on slavery." Young refused the special final meal. Jerome Bowden, June 24, 1986, electrocution. For several days, neither Mrs. Catherine Stryker nor her mother had responded to knocks at the door or telephone calls. Their absence of contact worried the neighbors, who eventually called the police. When Deputy Sheriff Samuel Prophet entered the residence on October 14, 1976, he immediately noticed that the rooms had been thoroughly ransacked. As he moved through the house, he heard the faint sound of labored breathing. Following the noise, Prophet discovered Mrs. Wessie Jenkins, Mrs. Stryker's mother, lying on a bed surrounded by dried blood but still alive. Continuing his search, Sheriff Prophet found the lifeless body of Catherine Stryker in the kitchen. Her skull had been savagely crushed to the point where her face was no longer recognizable, and a butcher knife had been driven deeply into her chest. The autopsy showed that the base of her skull was fractured with tremendous force, an injury similar to what is seen in severe car or airplane crashes. There was also a gaping wound behind one ear through which the doctor could actually see the brain tissue. Since the knife wound produced no bleeding, the medical examiner concluded that she had already been dead when she was stabbed. The estimated time of death was 3 to 4 days before discovery. Her fatal injuries had been inflicted by a heavy, blunt object. Mrs. Jenkins, who had previously suffered a stroke in September that left her partially paralyzed and confined to bed, was found gravely injured and transported to the hospital. There, she fell into unconsciousness and passed away several weeks later. Upon admission, doctors noted that she had sustained numerous wounds. On October 15, 1976, after learning that the authorities were searching for him, Bowden voluntarily surrendered himself to law enforcement. His last words included thanks to prison staff, and his last meal was a breakfast of eggs, pineapple juice, coffee, and toast.
Thing you'd like to add to your final statement?
I am Jerome Bowden, and I would just like to state that my execution is about to be carried out. And I would like to thank the people of this institution for taking such good care of me in the way that they did. And I hope that by my execution being carried out, that it may bring some light to this thing that it is wrong. And I would like to have a final prayer with Chaplain Lavelle, if that is possible. Thank you very much.
Bowden, who was described as intellectually disabled, was executed by the state of Georgia in the electric chair. Following public outcry, Georgia prohibited the execution of individuals with intellectual disabilities in 1988. Joseph Holcomb Mulligan, May 15, 1987, electrocution. As part of a calculated plan to cash in on an insurance policy, Joseph Mulligan murdered his sister's estranged husband, 30-year-old Captain Patrick Doe, along with Doe's 25-year-old girlfriend, Marion Miller, as the two were on their way to attend a party. At the time of his death, Patrick Doe was serving as a captain in the United States Army. The autopsy on Captain Doe revealed that the bullet entered through the left eye, passed through the brain, and exited out the right temple, killing him instantly. The autopsy on Miss Miller showed she had sustained 4 gunshot wounds, one to the left forearm, one to the left shoulder, another to the right upper arm, and a fatal shot to the back of the skull, with the exit wound emerging from her right eye. In both victims, the cause of death was determined to be massive brain laceration and hemorrhage, resulting in cerebral trauma. Captain Doe had recently filed for divorce from Mulligan's sister, and on the day of the murders, he had informed Mulligan that the divorce would soon be finalized. Joseph Holcomb Mulligan did not have a final meal on his last day, choosing instead to stick with the regular prison food. In his last statement, he maintained his innocence and made a long and rambling speech. In the portions audible to reporters, he said, "This has nothing to do with right or wrong. I am innocent. You are killing an innocent man. I have tried to tell you over and over. I am not going to be around to stand up for myself, but I hope somebody else stands up, and I hope you know that Georgia's death penalty law is wrong. It's wrong." Richard Tucker, Jr., May 22, 1987, electrocution. Tucker was found guilty of the 1978 murder of 50-year-old Edna Sandifer, a resident of Albany who had traveled to Macon to visit her sick mother in the hospital. As she was leaving the hospital, Tucker abducted her and forced her to drive to a remote location where he essayed her. After that, he bludgeoned her to death with an iron pipe. At the time of the killing, Tucker had only been out of prison for 6 months, having recently completed a 14-year sentence for the stabbing death of his aunt. During his trial, the jury heard a taped confession in which Tucker admitted that he had been drinking alcohol and smoking Mary Jane prior to the murder of Mrs. Sandifer. Tucker had the last meal of fried shrimp, coleslaw, and hush puppies. He didn't have any last words. William Boyd Tucker, May 29, 1987, electrocution. After spending much of August 20, 1977, drinking heavily throughout the day and evening and smoking several Mary Jane joints, Richard Tucker Jr. went to a Magic Market convenience store around 11 p.m. There, he consumed 2 more beers and played pinball for a while. After lingering at the store for approximately 45 minutes, Tucker suddenly moved behind the clerk, Kathleen Perry, the store's operator and only employee present, and pressed his finger into her back pretending to have a weapon. Terrified, Kathleen began placing money from the register into a paper bag. Tucker then forced her into his red Volkswagen and drove to Pierce Chapel Road, a secluded area. Once there, he stabbed Kathleen Perry 4 times, killing her. Meanwhile, 3 individuals driving along Pierce Chapel Road noticed a red Volkswagen parked in the roadway with its lights on. They saw Tucker inside the vehicle and also spotted a woman's shoe lying on the road beside it. Feeling uneasy, they decided to turn around and check what was happening. As they did, the Volkswagen passed them, heading away from the scene. When the witnesses reached the spot where the car had been parked, they found a vest bearing a Magic Market logo. Moments later, they discovered Kathleen Perry's body lying face down in a ditch, roughly 10 feet from the road. The group quickly left to alert the police, then returned to wait for law enforcement's arrival. Not long after officers arrived at the crime scene, Tucker returned driving the same red Volkswagen. The witnesses immediately identified both him and the car, leading police to arrest Tucker on the spot. Following his arrest, Tucker made an incriminating statement, admitting to the robbery by intimidation and the kidnapping. He told police that he could not remember exactly what happened after Kathleen exited the car, but he recalled seeing a knife with long brown handles and a lot of blood. During his trial, Tucker again confessed to the robbery and kidnapping, but claimed that he had no recollection of the stabbing or the murder itself. Tucker's last words were "God bless you all," and his final meal was a deluxe hamburger, French fries, a Pepsi, and ice cream. William Billy Mitchell, September 2, 1987, electrocution. At approximately 7 a.m. on Sunday, August 11, 1974, Mrs. James Carr and her 14-year-old son, Christopher Carr, opened IGA Store Number 13, a small convenience grocery in Worth County, Georgia. Roughly 15 minutes later, William Billy Mitchell entered the store. After wandering casually near the drink cooler for a short while, he approached the checkout counter, where Mrs. Carr and her son were standing. Suddenly, Mitchell pulled out a pistol, aimed it directly at Mrs. Carr, who stood less than 3 feet away, and demanded all the money. Terrified, Mrs. Carr handed over $150 from the cash register. Mitchell then demanded any personal cash she might have, so she gave him $15 from her purse. He also took some money from Christopher. When he had the cash, Mitchell ordered them go to the back of the store. With the gun pointed at them, Mrs. Carr and her son walked toward the rear through the meat room until they reached the door to the cooler. Mitchell opened the cooler, forced Christopher inside, then turned to Mrs. Carr and said with chilling cruelty, "I've never had a white bitch before," while shoving her toward the nearby bathroom. Mrs. Carr screamed, "Oh my God, no," and tried to resist, but Mitchell abruptly changed his mind, saying, "Into the cooler," and pushed her in with her son. Once inside, he ordered both of them to get on the floor. Christopher sat down, and his mother crouched beside him. Without hesitation, Mitchell fired his gun, shooting Christopher in the left side of his chest. He then turned the weapon on Mrs. Carr, shooting her in the back of the head before stepping out of the cooler. A few moments later, he returned and shot Christopher again, this time in the back of the head, and then shot Mrs. Carr 3 more times before leaving the cooler and returning to the front of the store. At that same moment, 2 young boys entered the store, unaware of what had just happened. Mitchell pointed his gun at one of them and pulled the trigger several times, but the gun misfired. He then took money from one of the boys and forced both of them at gunpoint to walk to the cooler room. Once again, he snapped the gun at one of them, but it failed to discharge. He then closed the cooler door and fled the store. Miraculously, Mrs. Carr survived her gunshot wounds and later testified against William Billy Mitchell at his trial, providing the crucial eyewitness account that secured his conviction. Mitchell also was sentenced to life in prison for killing a 50-year-old man the day before the grocery store robbery. His last statement was, "A few hours ago, Wayne Snow said I had no redeeming qualities. The only thing I've got to say to Wayne Snow is kiss my ass. Bye." Mitchell did not request a special last meal. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye-bye.